Do you get stuck halfway on your squat? Are you having trouble deep squatting?
I made it!
Today I'm showing you how to improve your squat mobility and how to build a deeper squat. When it comes to lower body strength and size, squat is the king. But if your squat is too high, you're not hitting all the essential muscles that help you build strong legs and hips. So how low should you go? A good reference that's been used for years in powerlifting competition is hip crease below knee level. Stopping your squat an inch too high, it won't be necessarily a problem, especially if you don't compete. But if your squat looks like something like this, you can possibly face some troubles. Today we're gonna try to get you squatting deeper by fixing all the joints that are involved in the movement. So obviously we are talking about hips, knees and ankles. Once we achieve a good squat, we will also look at some possible accessory exercise that you can add to your program that can help you to reinforce this new position. Let's get cracking. When I'm fixing somebody's squats, I tend to start from the hips. Working on your hips will help you to achieve the deep low squat that you're looking for, so we need to create first some space for your torso to slide in. Very often all the muscles around the hips tend to get very stiff, especially if you have a prolonged period of time sitting, limiting the hips motion. So now we need to go and teach our body how to get into a deep squat position again. To go to a deeper squat, we need to learn how to bring the leg to the side of our body and very close to our torso. And to do that, I personally use a variation of the world best stretch. I start this stretch by getting into a lunge position or with my knees down. I know the world best stretch usually tend to keep the back leg up off the floor, but in order for me to relax a little bit more and go into a deeper position, I prefer to keep it on the ground. So I start from a lunge, I place now my hands down and I try to move my knee back. In this way, I am achieving a deep hip stretch on my right leg, and my left leg has no other choice than staying next to my body and not in front of it. I try to relax as much as possible into this position. So if you're sliding back or if you feel like your hips are going down, that's a good sign. Hold this position for as long as your body needs. You're gonna feel physical changes happening. You're gonna feel yourself going deeper. You're gonna feel your knee going forward. You're also gonna feel a bit of stretch on the inner thigh. That's a sign that really you're going deeper and deeper with your hips and you're achieving the stretch that you were looking for, and now you're also reaching the angle that is supposed to mimic the squat position. If you feel like your hips cannot go any lower than that, we can start to apply some rotation on your torso. We're gonna raise our arm up here and slowly rotate going backward. You don't want to go as far back as possible straight away. You want to build into that. So get comfortable, wait for 5 to 10 seconds and then gently try to rotate a little bit farther. Again, hold for 5 to 10 seconds, take a couple of deep breaths. You can go back down and now you can even push your knee out a little bit more. You possibly spend roughly 60 to 75 seconds doing that. So guys, we can now add a bit of coordination to our mobility drills, and we are going to perform what I call the pole dancer. It's really important that you start to pay attention to your timing, especially when you squat, and what you break first, if it's your hips or your knees. So we are basically trying to make the squat a little bit easier by holding onto something, so you're making yourself a little bit lighter. The simple thing to do is move your hips back and knees slightly out, and you keep going down, maintaining a nice upright torso, and you sit down till you feel a stretch on your hips area. You hold it there, don't go too low or you're gonna end up rounding your back. We don't want that. So gently, I want you to sit into this position, but you need to take your time. So you start high, chest out, and then you gently let your hips sink in. You're possibly gonna feel some stretch of your ankles as well, which is okay, it's all good. So you sink in, make sure you stay nice and upright. And now you hold this position for some time. Once you get comfortable with that, I want you to push your knees out and maybe a bit forward at the same time. And switch, knees out and forward. Knees out, forward. Again, staying nicely upright. A progression of this stretch or this exercise is a deep squat with a plate. The plate is gonna basically help you to hold balance and it acts as a counterweight for you. So same story, hips back, knees out, and try to maintain a nice and upright torso. Your elbows now will insert between the knees. So I'm now holding my knees out really wide and I stay upright with my torso. As we did earlier on, the idea is that you're gonna go lower down, sitting without rounding your back. As you get better at it, you can do the same thing that we did earlier on. Push the knee out and forward and back. Push the knee out and forward and back. You're slowly gonna sink in, but you still wanna maintain a nice upright torso. Once you're done, squeeze the glutes, push the floor away, and come back up safely. Remember not to tilt forward when you do that. Now that your hips can get you to the right position, we need to make sure that you got the strength to keep you there when you need it. To do that, we need to work and prime our glutes muscles, specifically the gluteus medius and minimus. Those are the muscles in charge of the external rotation. For the next two exercises, we are going to use an hips band. And if you have been following the channel for some time, you know this is a must-have in your gym bag. We are going to place this band right above the knee level. So, slide your legs in, like that. The idea is now to learn how to externally rotate using a resistance. You're gonna start by moving your hips back, so you're gonna squat down by 10 inches roughly, and you're gonna push your knees out. Try not to do that by externally push out your feet. Your feet have nothing to do with that, it has to all come from the hips. So hips back, slightly knees out against the resistance band. I want you to perform a side walk. I want you to push out with, in this case, my left leg. Gonna push away, stretch the band, bring gently my legs back in. You don't want to feel like the band is actually pulling you in rapidly, okay? Without control. You want to hips back, push away, and control the motion. Have some distance to work on, and you repeat the same thing, utilizing the second leg. So you're going to push back in this case with the right leg and bringing yourself back to original position. We still remain with the band on, and now we are going to do more coordination work for our squat. If your squat stays very high, you cannot go really deep. You're possibly not performing the squat correctly, so it's more a technique related issue, not only joint related. So we need to teach our body how to activate the muscles at the right time. To do that, keep the band on. We're gonna perform a very slow squat now, so it's gonna be like a tempo squat, and we're gonna have some pauses as we descend. We're gonna move the hips back and knees out, squeeze the glutes, make sure that you feel them, and you're gonna hold this position for 10 seconds. Once you feel like, okay, yes, I can feel my glutes kicking in, you can go a bit lower, so a few more inches down, and you keep stretching the band, you don't lose the tension. So now I'm feeling a bit shaky, I can feel my muscle working really hard. 10 seconds later, you're gonna go down again. So we are now sitting, torso still upright, you try to keep those knees nice and wide. Now my muscles are really working hard to keep tension, and they're getting really tired. So for 10 seconds, push back up, go back to original position. If you try to do the same now without the resistance band, you should be able to perform a very good squat by keeping your knees in track with your toes and achieve a much better depth than when you started. Remember guys, to test and retest your progress. If you think that there is some more work that needs to be done before we move on, please go and repeat and maybe spend more time on all those exercises we have been showing you so far. So far guys, we have been working on your hips and we have been learning more about how to coordinate and time your squat. We haven't done much work on your ankles, so now the next two exercises we're gonna focus all our effort on improving our ankle mobility. Right, for the next drill we need a loop thick resistance band, we need an anchoring point, we need a mat and a plate. Once we are set, we place the foot in and place the resistance band right at the angle of the joint. You don't want it to go too low or too high, and you preferably want to do this stretch, this drill without shoes if you can. We're gonna place the band. Now I step onto the platform that we have previously prepared, and then I bring my mat close, and now gently I'm gonna bring my knee forward as much as possible without lifting the heels. We are trying to basically increase the range of motion by using a resistance band that works as a distraction to the joint. In that way, you're gonna increase the load they can take. As you can see, my knee is way forward compared to my toes, and then you relax it. So you give it a big push, hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, try to really feel relaxed in that position, and then bring it back. Do this few times, you're gonna feel a deep stretch on your calf and your Achilles tendons. That means you're achieving a new range of motion. That's something that is unusual for you. So you keep doing that for 10 times, and then move on to the other leg. Right guys, this is the last drill we are going to perform today to improve our squat. So we're gonna use a bench or a jump box if you need to. You're gonna place the foot on, chest out, try to bring the knee forward and get your hips down. Once you achieve a good stretch, grab onto the bench and pull yourself down so you're applying even more pressure. You want your chest basically to press against the knee, and you're gonna feel a further stretch on the back. Now you can go and retest your squat and look if you have made an improvement or any progression. Let's see now what sort of accessories exercise we can incorporate in your program that can help you to improve and maybe maintain, practice a bit more this new position. I particularly recommend two to my clients. One is the box squat and the second one is the post squat. For the box squat, prepare a box, a bench or anything that is already at the right height. If you find a stepper and you think it will be too low for you, you can add plates if you need to, just to bring it to the right height. Remember guys that we are not going to sit on this box. The idea is that you use the box as a reference point, so it's just for feedback to know that you're actually hitting the right depth. In regards to the pose squat, you're basically gonna have a long pose at the peak of the exercise. So in this case, at the lowest position on your squat. You're gonna hold it there 5 to 10 seconds, that's what I recommend, without disengaging your muscles. You don't want yourself to go loose right at the bottom of your squat, especially if you're holding some weights on your back. We are just trying to improve our coordination, our timing, and our positioning in your squat. This is something that you're supposed to do with a very light weight. You don't want to go heavy on either the box squat or on the pose squat, because they are more accessories exercise, and you are right at the beginning, at the moment you're trying to improve your positioning. If in future you need to go heavier because of programming, that's perfectly fine. You first master the technique and then you can look at increasing weights on the bar. If you think that your squat is still a little bit off, you need more stability and stiffness around your torso area, this video here will help you doing just that. And if you need more lifting tips, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Keep crushing those weights safely guys, I will see you on the next one. Ciao!